All right, we're being recorded. Continue. Well, welcome everyone. A warm welcome to all of you. I see many friends from the rich array of Buddhist Sanghas in Hawaii and also from around the world. So gasho to all of you. Welcome to the Hawaii Association of International Buddhists Dhammacakka celebration. And a special welcome to HAIB Advisory Board member Honpa Hongwanji Bishop Eric Matsumoto. Nice to have you here, Bishop. Thank you. And thank all of you for joining us today to recognize and celebrate the auspicious occasion of Shakyamuni Buddha's first turning of the Dharma wheel. It is said that after Shakyamuni's great enlightenment, he stayed under the Bodhi tree for quite a while, wondering if it would even be possible to communicate what he had realized to others. He knew he wanted to communicate it, to pass it on, but he wasn't sure if it would be possible for people to understand. When he did finally go forth into the world to expound the Dharma, he sought out the 5 ascetic companions he had practiced with for many years. The ascetics were skeptical of him at first, since he had left their group, but they could see that something was different in his presence and demeanor. The way their old friend looked and walked and moved and spoke. So they sat down to listen. In this first turning of the Dharma wheel, Shakyamuni expounded the teaching of the middle way and the Four Noble Truths. And from that point on, as we say, the thunder rolled. And we are eternally grateful. We'll begin our program this afternoon with a recitation of the Vow of Humankind. And we will have 3 opening chants, one each from the 3 yanas or vehicles, the Theravada, Mahayana, and Vajrayana. We'll then have our keynote address by Bishop Kosen Ishikawa, followed by responses from 3 different Buddhist perspectives. And if there is time, I will also invite questions from our audience. Then we'll enjoy a guided meditation led by Dr. Thanh Huynh of Vipassana Hawaii, and close with a recitation of the Metta Sutra by HAIB board member Rinchen. Please remember to keep your mic muted throughout the program unless called upon to ask a question. All right, we'll proceed. The Vow of Humankind. Calm and composed, awakening to our true self, ardently practicing our compassion, making full use of our abilities according to our respective vocations, discerning suffering, both individual and social, and its causes, recognizing the right course for history to proceed. Let us join hands as kin beyond the differences of race, nation, and class. With love and compassion, we vow to bring realization to humankind's deep desire for liberation by making every effort to create a world that is peaceful and joyous. Thank you. Dr. Porni Nacheda Sponsel will now introduce our opening chanters. Porni?
Okay, thank you, Michael. I'm Porni Nacheda Sponsel, and I'll be happy to introduce our first chanter. We changed from the program because Lama Kama Rinchen, who offer us the auspicious chant. Could I ask Reverend Hero, do we have that on the website for people to follow or not? I could not find it.
Yes,
Anyhow.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, Hero, please.
Yes. So if you go to our the whole page, www.hawaiibuddhist.org, you should find it in today's event under Lama Karen Rinchen. There's a clickable link that says, please click here to download, print the chant, and recite together. Also, if you had signed up, you should have received the same information on your email where you can click and download it to your computer.
Okay. Thank you so much, Reverend Hero. So, Lama Kama Rinchen has been with HAIB since the beginning 29 years ago as one of our advisories. At one time, he had to take on the role of HAIB president when it was the turn of Vajrayana tradition to be the organization leader. Lama Rinchen, as most of us call him, came to Hawaii in 1976 after traveling to numerous countries. He is one of the few remaining lamas who trained in Tibet. Many people in Buddhist community would agree with me that Lama Rinchen is well loved and highly respected. With his very busy schedule, he always makes time to join HAIB's activity. Thank you so much, Lama. We are so grateful that he joined in the opening prayer this afternoon to give us the great beginning and successful Dhammacakka celebration. His chant is called Auspicious Prayer. It is believed to be very powerful for happiness and success. Auspicious Prayer, taught by Shakyamuni Buddha, the excellent sutra of the 8 Buddhas, which brings about auspicious good fortune, was later condensed by the renowned Tibetan master Mipham Rinpoche. It is known commonly as the Auspicious Prayer or Tashi Prayer in Tibetan. The mere recitation of the name of the 32 enlightened beings in this prayer dispels obstacles and creates success in this very lifetime. And as the Reverend Hero mentioned, if you want to read to follow as Lama do the chanting, you can find on our webpage. Lama.
Also, may I just add that I did also put it on the chat, so you can also download it through the chat.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Reverend Hero. Okay, I know Lama is here. Could we have Lama on? Karen is helping Lama, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead. Just talk.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon, Lama.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for your organizations continue to Buddha's teachings, festivals, everything continue to preparing. Thank you very much. And then, yeah, all friends, nice to see you again. This is all the 5 Dhyana Buddhas to auspicious, everything's goals, success without obstacles to our organization's success. Wish fulfill. Onansi Nanda Ronde Landru Petashi Jiji Jine Sheba in Sanje Chetan Gindu Papis Kula Jansan Daja Dashi Shundrimi Jabu Zata Tendu Kung Tembi Jeba Gita Pandam Kula Gumba Jaji Daba Jambu Taba Zata Pandam Simje Zamje Lagu Tabe Ba Ize Zeba Zara Tabat Sense Tepe Tashi Pape Wa Dore Shiba Jala Shansal Jamba Shinga Banden Turji Jire Zewa Kumbo Chambe Saye Nyambo Deba Namba Se Naka Nyambo Panshu Kondos Muban Turji Bega Loshi Dandru Dawa Rade Nimai Chanselina Tashi Baji Ju Chanji Simba Jala Shansan Rinchen Dunju Tashi Siji Nanduji Ponsa Yo Kamala Nenda Tonda Ponsa Babi Mine Jansa Onji Kolo Rinchen Tashi Jiji Chansa Chudu Jawa Jiji Jiji Mangisu Mu Tempe Papi Tashi Lamo Jala Chansa Samba Chimbu Deji Simibu Nidu Denda Jabo Yukrus Pachi Pota Loa Mime Sanandu Sato Tata Kulu Tishu Lata Duntan Durji Pyo Arete Shitu Zanzins Sasu Nisi Dashi Gide Jidi Chiwa Jala Shansan Daja Tindi Jawa Zumba La Gita Nyewa Sewa Kushin Dode Babi Sunde Yijit Tashi Dile Bonsun Soba Sho Tashi Dile Bonsun Soba Tashi Dile Bonsun Soba Sho Om Bonsun Soba Mawa Sidi Rewonda Jede Sunji Gombo Tima Sumba Samje Bema Jebe Danda Jema Wan Dine Jede Ngere Tashi Tambo Nyawa Tembe Chura Miyawa Jitu Suna Tashi Lada Mishe Chichu Tamba Chigu Nala Jije Ba Dine Jede Gare Tashi Jibawo Minde Tamba Chidu Tepe Tashi Shu Lada Mina Lama Ije Tepe Soche Chara Wata Shina Baji Dine Jede Gare Tashi Sambawo Chewe Chichu Chichu Lana Mi Chiji Nima Jewe Jilat Nude Gere Deba Dashi Datu Bani Nyente Dashi Shu Chunye Debe Chichu Lana Mi Damsi Juji Debe Jilat Tummu Dungwa Dungwa Dashi Datu Bani Nyente Dashi Shu Ginde Yinde Rinche Bambarawa Jase Benze Dembe Chelat Ibe Jira Ginda Babe
그냥 싫구나. 아니,
Dubo
아니,
Koji Tashi Sho
Just keep going if you
Sende Dele Tashi Bebe Wa Sende Laye Tashi Nijirib Deshi Sambe Yiyu Gubadim Tsere Nime Deji Demba Sho
Thank you, Lama. Thank you very much. And
Thank you, everybody.
then, so now we have been blessed with this auspicious prayer by Lama Rinchen. So the next chant will be from the Theravada tradition, from Venerable Dhammamuni. He is the abbot of what Dhammavihara Theravada Buddhist Meditation Center in Waianae. Most people call him พระอาจารย์สุเทพ จงแพ He has been joining us in the past Dhammacakka chanting already, if you recall. He returned to Hawaii in 1990 and built this meditation center with the support of major donor. In 1994, Venerable Dhammamuni is always seeking learning and training. He completed the Vipassana Samatha meditation course from the center in Chiang Mai. His teacher gave him the name Dhammamuni, and recently in 2006, he received a Doctor of Philosophy from Nakananda International Institute of Buddhist Study in Sri Lanka. Today, he is also celebrating Asana Busha. That's what it's called in Pali. The day is Asana Busha. We have Vesak, Visakha Busha, and we have Asana Busha at his temple. So he has kindly pre-record his chant. So let me explain a little bit about this Dhammacakka Kappa Vatana Sutra, which HAIB used the first part of the name Dhammacakka as our annual event. So Dhammacakka Kappa Vatana Sutra considered as the Buddhist text as the record of the first discourse of the Buddha. It begins by rejecting the extreme of asceticism and indulgence. Then the middle way practice of the Buddha leads him to the Noble Eightfold Path, which gives rise to knowledge that leads to peace and direct knowledge to enlightenment. The Buddha then explained the noble truth of suffering, its origin, the cessation of suffering, and then the way leading to cessation of suffering, which is the Noble Eightfold Path. The wheel of Dhamma has been set in motion by our blessed and enlightened one. Hope this explanation helped you to internalize the meaning of his first teaching as you listen to the chant in unison of the three monks led by Venerable Dhammamuni. This is just a short version of the chant. The full version is take more than an hour because explain everything about his first teaching. And at the end, you will hear the chant that the Buddha mentioned. Gotana has indeed understood, but is it in Pali? But you will hear the name Gotana. And he became the first disciple. And his name is Anya Gontanya, meaning Gontanya, who has understood. So hopefully we can listen and internalize this chanting in Pali and try to remind ourselves of the Noble Eightfold Path. Thank you. Reverend Steve, could you please?
Recitation of Dhammacakka Sutta from the monks Wat Dhammavihara, Hawaii, USA. Evam me suttam ekang samayang bhagava paranasiyang viharati isipatane mikatha ye tatrako bhagava pancavakkiye bhikkhu amante sitave me bhikkave anta papajite nanase vitapayo chayang กัมโมโปตุชนิโกอนาริโยอนัตตสันนิโตโยจายังอัตตกิลมัฏฐานุโยโกนุโกอนาริโยอนัตตสันนิโตเอเตเตภิกขเวอุปโปอันเตอนุปกัมมมัชฌิมาปฏิปทาตถาคเตนะอภิสัมพุทธาจักขุกรณียานกรณีอุปสมัยอภิญญายสัมโพธายนิพพานายสังวัตติกตมาจัสสาภิกขเวมัชฌิมาปฏิปทาตถาคเตนะอภิสัมพุทธาจักขุกรณียานกรณีอุปสมัยอภิญญายสัมโพธายนิพพานายสังวัตติอายเมวะอริโยอัตตังกิโกมัคโคเสยยติทังสัมมาทิฏฐิสัมมาสังกัปโปสัมมาวาจาสัมมากัมมันโตสัมมาอาชีวสัมมาวายาโมสัมมาสติสัมมาสมาธิอายังโคสาภิกขเวมัชฌิมาปฏิปทาตถาคเตนะอภิสัมพุทธาจักขุกรณียานกรณีอุปสมัยอภิญญายสัมโพธายนิพพานายสังวัตติตังโคปนะภิกขเวทุกขังอริยสัจจังชาติปิทุกขาชราปิทุกขามรณัมปิทุกขังโสกัมปริเทวทุกขโตมนัสสุปายาสาปิทุกขาอัปปิเยอิสัมปโยโกทุกโขปิเยอิวิปปโยโกทุกโขยัมปิจังนะปฏิตัมปิทุกขังสังกิตเตนะปัญญุปาทานขันธาทุกขาอิทังโคปนะภิกขเวทุกขสมุทัยโยอริยสัจจังญายังตัณหาโกโนปวิกานันทิราคะสากตาตัตระตัตระปินันทินิสัยยติทังกามตัณหาภวตัณหาวิภวตัณหาอิดังโคปนะภิกขเวทุกขานิโรโตอริยสัจจังโยตัสสะเยวตัณหายาเสสวิราคะนิโรโทจากโกปฏินิสสกโกมุตติอนาลโยอิทังโคปนะภิกขเวทุกขานิโรธกามินิปฏิปทาอริยสัจจังอายเมวะอริโยอัตถังกิโกมัคโคสยติตังสัมมาทิฏฐิสัมมาสังกัปโปสัมมาวาจาสัมมากัมมันโตสัมมาอาชีวสัมมาวายาโมสัมมาสติสัมมาสมาธิตังทุกขังอริยสัจจันติเมภิกขเวปุปเปอิทังทุกขังอริยสัจจันติเมภิกขเวปุปเปอนันโนสุเตสุตัมเมสุจักขุงอุตตปาทิญาณังอุตตปาทิปัญญาอุตตปาทิวิชชาอุตตปาทิอาโลโกอุตตปาทิอิดังทุกขสมุทัยโยอริยสัจจันติเมภิกขเวปุปเปอนันโนสุเตสุธัมเมสุจักขุงอุตตปาทิญาณังอุต ตปาทิปัญญาอุตตปาทิวิชชาอุตตปาทิอาโลโกอุตตปาทิอิทังทุกขนิโรโธอริยสัจจันติเมภิกขเวปุปเปอนันโนสุเตสุธัมเมสุจักขุงอุตตปาทิญาณังอุตตปาทิปัญญาอุตตปาทิวิชชาอุตตปาทิอาโลโกอุตตปาทิอิทังทุกขนิโรธคามิเนปฏิปทาอริยสัจจันติเมภิกขเวปุปเพอนันโนสุเตสุธัมเมสุจักขุงอุตตปาทิญาณังอุตตปาทิปัญญาอุตตปาทิวิชชาอุตตปาทิอาโลโกอุตตปาทิเปอิตมโวจะปะคะวะอัตตมนาปัญจวัคคียาภิกขุปะคะวะโตปาสิตังอภินันทุงอิมัสมินจะปนวายาการนัสมิงปัญญมาเนอายัสสมโตโกนทัญญาสวิรชังวิตมรังธรรมจักขุงอุตตปาทิยังกินจิตสมุทัยธรรมังสัพพันตังนิโรธธรรมันติเปอัตถโกปะคะวะทุตานังอุทาเนสิอัญญาสิวัตโพโกนทัญโยอัญญาสิวัตโพโกนทัญโยติติทังอายัสสมโตโกนทัญญาสอัญญาโกนทัญโยตเววนามังอโหสิติ
Okay. Thank you in absence of the 3 months from Wat Dhammavihara, Hawaii. Hopefully we understand a little bit of what the Buddha taught at his first teaching in his language in Pali. The next one will be from Mahayana tradition, Reverend Takamasa Yamamura. He is the headmaster of Honolulu Myohoji Temple on Nu'anu Avenue, which is part of Nichiren Mission of Hawaii. He came to Hawaii with an international background, speaking 3 different languages, Italian, Japanese, and English. Many of you have heard him sing with his beautiful trained opera singer voice. He has an MA in music from Japan and diploma in music from Italy. Reverend Yamamura is active in the community, especially with Rotary Club of Honolulu. This Zoom event is so wonderful. We are able to be in 2 places at the same time. Reverend Yamamura also has to officiate the funeral services at this time. We celebrate Dhammacakka here, and he has kindly sent us the video recording of his chanting of Lotus Sutra. Lotus Sutra is the most important text in Mahayana tradition of Buddhism. Its main revolutionary teaching is the promise that all beings can become Buddha. And you will hear when Reverend Yamamura come in, the major chanting you heard, Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. The meaning is the devotion to the mystic law of the Lotus Sutra. For many Buddhists in East Asia, since early times, the Lotus Sutra contains the final teaching of Shakyamuni Buddha, complete and sufficient for salvation. 2 central teachings of the Lotus Sutra have been very influential for Mahayana Buddhism. I believe it's for Tendai and Nichiren, and also some of the same practice. The first one is that the doctrine of one vehicle. All practices lead to Buddhahood with one vehicle. And the second important point is the lifespan of the Buddha is immeasurable. Therefore, he did not really pass on into final nirvana. He only appears to do as a ubaya. In Buddhism, ubaya is skillful mean. So the Buddha used the skillful mean that he has completely into nirvana. Actually, for the Mahayana belief, the Buddha is still active, teaching the Dhamma with us today. So we will have Reverend Steve show the YouTube from Reverend Takamasa Yamamura.
Aloha. I am a Reverend Takamasa Yamamura of Honolulu Myohoji Temple, Nichiren-shu. I am a representative of the Mahayana Buddhism. According to the Buddhist studies, the word of Mahayana is already old term. It will be better to use the one vehicle Buddhism. It will be appropriated. Today, we celebrate the Dhammacakka. How are we understanding Shakyamuni Buddha who had appeared in this world? All of us understand that Shakyamuni Buddha was born as a prince of Shakya clan of Kapila Castle 2500 and 2600 years ago, and Buddha died in Kushinagara at the age of 80. However, it made clear by the Lotus Sutra, chapter 16, since there is no beginning and end to the lifetime of Shakyamuni Buddha, his life exists eternally. He is always with us. He has not rested for even an instant, and he is saving humankind. I would like to share with you the words of Shakyamuni Buddha from the Lotus Sutra. Shakyamuni Buddha said in the Lotus Sutra, chapter 16, I am the Father of the world. I save all living beings from their various sufferings. Those who are not very wise, through their mistaken views, say that I have died, although I am really living now. If I were always living on earth with a body, people will fall into bad circumstances because of their desires. I know everything about living beings. I am always thinking in this way because no matter what it takes, I want to guide all living beings to the enlightenment and to the best of my ability, quickly have them become the Buddha. 我薬医生福職縁者非凡無天道実在に言滅非常見が公に商業し統一弱語欲打大悪道中過剰知種上用道不行道水王消化道異摂取十法 Thank you. All the best.
Thank you so much, Reverend Yamamura, and we hope to see you popping in after your service. Now, President Michael.
Thank you. That was wonderful. It's my pleasure now to introduce our keynote speaker, Bishop Kosen Ishikawa. He is Bishop of the Hawaii Council of Jodo Missions and currently also serving as President of the Kauai Buddhist Council.
Okay.
Courtney, what?
So because we have to have Reverend Bishop Kosen Ishikawa as a co-host because he asked to share the screen. Steve will do that. Yes, Steve.
Please try it now.
Okay. All right. Sorry, Michael. I just saw his chat and I saw that. Sorry. Yeah.
Right. Is the way of the Dharma. Okay. Well, Bishop Ishikawa is a very busy fellow. He was attending to matters at the Kapa'a Jodo Mission this morning and now joins us this afternoon from Koloa, Kauai. I must tell you that I've heard that in addition to his many virtues as a Jodo minister and bishop, I hear Bishop Ishikawa is also very skilled at making sushi and growing water lilies. We're very honored that Bishop Ishikawa has taken time out of his many responsibilities, especially during this busy Obon season, which I know many of you are aware of, taken that time to come and speak with us this afternoon. His topic is rediscovery of important messages of our past, a very fitting one indeed for our commemoration of the first turning of the Dharma wheel. Bishop Ishikawa, please speak to us.
Good morning, good afternoon, good night, and aloha, brothers and sisters in Dharma. I'm very honored to share Dharma talk with you today. And thank you very much for the nice introduction. I was kind of very busy and I was kind of worried, if I can make it today, but I made it. I'm so glad. And now technology is so advanced and I'm using Google Map as a navigation. And then navigation says that you arrive at the Koloa Jodo Mission 103 today. And exactly 103 arrive at the Koloa Jodo Mission. And wow, I was kind of, today was, if you live on Kauai, traffic is really bad, especially at the Kapa side and Wairua. It took more than double, 2 times longer time to reach Koloa. But I'm so glad that I made it. Anyway, thank you very much. And then, I was chatting Purani-san, Dr. Purani recently, and I told her that I remember I attended Dhammacakka Day Festival before moving to Kauai in '99. That I believe it was the first, Dhammacakka festival. And she said that, oh, you have a good memory, but actually she has more better memory because she said that at McCoy Pavilion at Alamona Park, it was held. I didn't remember where it was held. I just remember before moving to Kauai, I attended, Dhammacakka service. And I was actually very impressed that she has a good memory. And it was truly happening. After that, I found a newsletter from HAIB in '99. It is about Dhammacakka Day Festival in '99. After that, 2 decades, 20 years have passed. And you probably don't remember how it was started and what was the purpose to have a Dhammacakka Day Festival. together with Hawaii Buddhist Council. And it was very interesting because it says that HAIB to welcome new millennium by co-sponsoring Dhammacakka Day Festival with Hawaii Buddhist Council. And nowadays, we don't use millennium, but at that time in 99, millennium is a big event because it happens once in 1,000 years. And so 99, people kind of excited to welcome new millennium. And at that time, this Dhammacakka Day Festival was planned to welcome new millennium. And I was one of young ministers to help and to plan the festival. So by looking the past, by looking the newsletter in the past, it was very interesting to remember what was, the original purpose to hold the Dhammacakka Day Festival. And it is said that to welcome the new millennium. And so let me read what I have. So over here is the Reverend Kosen Ishikawa Jodo Mission of Hawaii, and I have this one over here. In co-sponsorship with the Hawaii Buddhist Council, HAIB is organizing a significant Buddhist event to welcome the new millennium. The occasion will commemorate the Dhammacakka Day when Shakyamuni Gautama Buddha delivered his first sermon known in Buddhist history as the turning of the wheel of Dhamma, Dhammacakka. This celebration will take place on Friday, September 24th, 1999, because it will be the harvest full moon day as practiced throughout the world. It will take place at McCoy Pavilion in Ala Moana Park from 5:90 to 9 o'clock. Without Buddha's first sermon, there would not have been present-day Buddhism. This first sermon was the very beginning of a generous, compassionate invitation to all of humanity for obtaining the great harvest of metta, loving kindness, karuna, compassion, mudita, empathic joy, and upekkha, detachment in daily living, as well as to attain to nirvana or enlightenment within this very lifetime, or at least some of the Buddhists. And this is a program how it was held, in 99. So some names are familiar and today.
39 người.
Yeah, so this was, from different ethnic groups, from China, from Korea, from Japan. We have some dances, taiko performances, cultural events, and that was how it was officiated. And today, in relation to the rediscovery of important message from the past, one of my concerns is that climate change and severe disasters happening around the world. And especially since June, unusual heat, June 21 was the hottest June on record for the US. And not only for that, heavy rains everywhere. 2021 Atami landslide that caused so many people died, July 3rd. And then European floods from July 12 to 17, and also so many damages and people died. And also 2021 China Honan floods happening. And this was, probably caused by climate change. And we should be aware that globe, our mother planet, is such an importance that we need to take care. Buddhist teaching is of course very important, but without planet, without our mother planet, we cannot live. And our Buddhist teaching is actually very powerless towards nature. So I think it is my hope that we should be aware that we should take care of our mother planet and think of the mother planet for what we can do is actually more and more important. And this actually unusual, climate change, I noticed that happening maybe from a decade ago. And one of the memorable events happened was 2014 Hiroshima Landslides. It happened August 20 and Hiroshima Prefecture in the city of Hiroshima. It was struck by a series of landslides following heavy rain, and 74 people were reported dead. And following torrential rain, in which a month was fell in a single day, several landscapes were triggered near a mountain beside the city of Hiroshima. This one event actually I cannot forget is because it happened so suddenly, and it happened in the city of Hiroshima. And also the place name was, I actually noticed that the place name the landslide happened was now it's called Yagi area, but it used to be called Jarakuji Akudani. Jarakuji Akudani is actually very scary place name. And if you know kanji character, it's really scary because it's a evil valley, evil valley. And Jarakuji is like snake falling down, and evil valley is literal meaning of Jarakuji Ashidani, that place name. And because nowadays we don't want to live in such an evil valley, right? So in order to sell house and property, we cannot sell, if the name is Evil Valley. Nobody want to live in the Evil Valley. So naturally, people change the place name. And that's how the place name was changed. But originally, it was named as Jarakuji Akudani, is Evil Valley. And why Evil Valley was probably because the landslide happened before. So it actually telling us that it was Evil Valley in the history. So the place name is actually something telling us. And it's very important to be mindful of the original name and original meaning, because it is telling something, very important message. And actually, there are some place names in Japan. Hebi or snake, the place name which contains snake is known as flooding, violent river, torrential rain, and landsliding. So that is actually the message from the past. Whatever it contains heavy or snake, it is actually telling us it happened, flooding happened, heavy rain happened, landsliding happened. So that is actually happened in the past. And so Jabami, there is a place called Jabami, is actually snake eating, and it means that flooding. And then there is also Narutaki. I think it is Nagasaki Prefecture, is crying waterfalls. And now you don't see waterfall, but crying waterfalls happened, when the heavy rain happened. And also there is a place name which include kaki, persimmon, but another meaning, another homonym of kaki is actually missing. So the place name which contains kaki, maybe it indicates it is an unstable place. It is an unstable place, landslide could happen. And also, Ona is actually, Onna is lady, but Ona can be written as main wave, main wave. So there is a place name that Onagawa Machi. Onagawa Machi was actually damaged by 2011 Tohoku earthquake, was Onagawa Machi. It's actually, nowadays we write as Uman River town, Uman River town. But originally, it must be man wave. Man wave is indicate that strong wave, and strong wave can be tsunami. So Onagawamachi is a place name, although it is nowadays written as Lady River, town, but it was originally man wave, strong wave town. So that actually telling us the history or warning. So that is actually an important message from the past. And on the other hand, here in Hawaii, we have so many place names which contain Y. Waimea, Waikiki, Wairua, Wairuku, Waiefu, Waiareare, Waipahu, Waipori, Waikomo, Lawai, and Hawaii too. Yeah? So many places contain Y, and Y, as you know, means fresh water. And fresh water is, of course, important for all human beings, but especially island. Why? Fresh water must be super important. When the Polynesian people came from Tahiti, first thing they should do, they should have done was to look for water in order to live. So they were very mindful of fresh water. What kind of water it is over here? So they name place name according to the characteristic of water. That is, I think, from the for the Hawaii place name. And probably one of the most famous place name is Waimea. Kauai has Waimea. And oh, Bishop Matsumoto, thank you for using the photo. That was from Waimea. And then, I know Oahu has Waimea. And Hawaii, Big Island has Waimea. And what Waimea means is white fresh water, mea is red. So it literally means reddish water. And why reddish water is, as you see, it's a red dirt, make the river reddish. So Waimea actually, because many places Waimea, because there are so many reddish soil, red soil over there, that I mean. And then here on Kauai, Waiareare located in the center of the island. It is about 1 mile, about 1 mile high. And it is known as the wettest spot, one of the wettest spots on Earth. And Waiareare means rippling water, because it is known as a wettest spot on Earth. So Waiareare indicates that overflowing water, and that made so many rivers on Kauai. And among place names in Hawaii, I noticed that there are also Wailuku in Big Island, and also Maui, Wailuku. And I didn't know the meaning of Wailuku until I visited Big Island at Rainbow Fall. At Rainbow Fall in Big Island, there was a sign explaining about Wailuku, what it means. Water of destruction is what Wailuku means. And Wai means fresh water, and Luku means essentially river of destruction. The river can rise into the trees and drop back down very fast. The high flat marks can be seen dated in concrete on the stairs going down to the river behind the Hilo Public Library. And after that, after visiting place, the Maui had flash flood, and that closed Iao Valley for more than a year. And that destroyed the parking. That is also Wailuku. And wow, Wailuku, place name, I didn't pay attention to the meaning of Wailuku, but after knowing the meaning of Wailuku, destruction of water, it is telling the danger, warning that the flooding could happen anytime. So this is actually place name we actually don't think about it deeply, but place name is actually message from the past. So there is a word tradition in Latin. Traditio is actually, it's very interesting that, you know, if you can divide word, you know what it means. In English, we say understand, right? And in Japanese, we say wakaru or wakarimasu. They both same meaning, but the big difference between wakaru in Japanese way of understanding and English way of understand is understand. The very concept of understand is to stand. To stand is a very concept of understanding. So if you want to know what is Japan, the best way is you go to Japan and you stand in Japan. That is a very concept of understanding. So by going to Japan, and if you stand in Japan, you understand it. You make it under yourself. That is an English concept of understand. On the other hand, Japanese concept of understand is wakarimasu. And wakarimasu literally means to divide. By dividing things, we understand. So just like divide, we can divide tradition as trans, do, and shio. That is give over thing, give over thing. That is a literal meaning. And another interesting, division of the word is, of course, understand. Understand can be divided in two parts, under and stand. Then we know this is stand, and to make it under yourself. That is understand. So anyway, the tradition means a part of culture that is passed from person to person or generation to generation, possibly differing in detail from family to family, such as a way to celebrate holidays. Needless to say, tradition is so important for everybody. The reason why we value tradition is because tradition contains useful teachings in order to live better and happily. Tradition can be our wisdom from the past, but tradition is passed from people to people for many generations. Sometimes important original meaning was either lost or changed. So just like Dhammacakka, festival, originally we started in order to welcome new millennium, right? But for a long time, 20 years passed, then we probably don't realize the original purpose. The original purpose is changed. But tradition, actually, originally, it has a meaning. How about our Buddhist practices? How about our Buddhist tradition? We have various Buddhist traditions, and each tradition has its profound meaning. But are we all mindful of the original meaning of the tradition? One of the example is Bon dance. Unfortunately, this year too, we cannot hold Bon dance. But tradition of Bon is, you see, yagura and chochin, lanterns. By installing yagura and chochin are considered to be our tradition. But what is the original meaning of lanterns? And what is the meaning of yagura? And what is the meaning of red and white? Japanese culture use red and white for any celebration, happy occasion. We use red and white color. But what is the red and white? Because originally it had certain meaning, but because it passed so many years from generation to generation, the meaning is lost. We don't know, but we actually continue to do like this, that tradition. Then what is the meaning? So unfortunately, Wikipedia didn't say anything about this red and white yet. But in the future, somebody will upload what is the meaning of red and white. From the Buddhist understanding, the red is actually fire. in older days, people use a fire in order to protect ourselves from the animals. So the fire is actually can remove evil things from dangers. So that is the meaning of red. And then what is white? And white, according to Japanese Buddhist tradition, it is the meaning of water. And water keep running. This is the symbol of purity, something very pure. So red and white actually nothing but purity. And another understanding of red and white is actually, I sort of, is the color of blood is red. The color of blood is red. And so red indicates living. And then what is the color of white? Color of white is actually traditionally death. So red, living, and death is actually living and death are one. It's not separated. So by putting red and white, we used to probably express that it is living and death as one. So that is actually my guessing. But originally, when they started to use red and white, they should have original meaning. That actually is the important message from the past. How about Buddhist practices? That we have various Buddhist practices, and each practice has its profound meaning. And are we all mindful of the original meaning of the Buddhist practices? So today, I'd like to spotlight on the interesting Buddhist traditions that can be excellently, especially during this coronavirus pandemic. We Buddhists have a tradition to wear a mask, and mask is called bukusu. And there are two occasions that we Buddhists use mask. One is, as you see, when we wipe the deity, we Buddha statue, we wear mask. And another occasion that we wear mask is that when we offer food to deity, to the Buddha. So there are two occasions that we use mask. And that for 100 years, we use bukusu or mask. Then why we wear mask? And that I think very interesting because Hawaii, the breath is so sacred, holy. So we say mahalo, divine breath be with you. And aloha is divine breath be with you, aloha. So ha or breath is so important, but Japanese didn't consider breath is so pure. It is considered to be dirty. And so in order to prevent our bad breath to the important person, we use a mask. So mask is, in a sense, to protect very important person. We tradition wear mask. So we actually are not mindful of why we wear mask, for clean the Buddha and to offer food. But originally, in order to prevent bad breath to reach very important person, we wear mask. So that is actually applied even to the coronavirus. We wear mask not only protect myself, but protect someone very important. So now people understand wearing mask, but in the beginning of pandemic started, it's hard for people to understand to wear mask. Oh, I'm okay. I can get, sick, I didn't care. But mask is actually not only to protect yourself, but to protect important person, important family. So this is actually telling us that according to the Buddhist tradition, it indicates in order to protect very important person, we wear mask. So that could apply to even to the coronavirus pandemic. And another that I want to mention is that from time to time, I think not only Japan, but Japanese experience smallpox epidemic. It's called tennento, happen from time to time. And one of the biggest tennento happen was from 735 to 737. And at that time, approximately 1/3 of the entire Japanese population died. And so this, Japanese from time to time experience smallpox. So it may be because from the experiences that wearing mask is actually protection, because of droplets and, touching, we can spread the virus. But in order to, because of the experiences of the small epidemic from time to time, we have kind of, prevention that such as wearing mask may be born. And also we have a tradition of silent eating. Silent eating is actually practiced when you are under training at Buddhist temples. So when you are eating, you cannot speak. You should not speak. You should concentrate on eating. That is called silent eating. Is actually very good in order to spread, in order to stop, spreading virus. Silent eating. So people sometimes misunderstand eating is actually dangerous at the restaurant. Eating at the restaurant is actually dangerous, but it is not such a thing. Eating, if you are quiet, if you don't speak, it's safe. But if you speak while you eating, when you are chatting while you eating, that is a problem. So while if nobody say anything, if you are very quiet, keep calm, then restaurant should be safe. But when you chat while you're eating, that is actually very dangerous. So Buddhist teaching, the training, practice, silent eating is actually very good even for the coronavirus pandemic. And another thing, very important meaning of silent eating is that you should be very mindful of what you are having, you are receiving. The food in front of you is from the universe, a gift of universe. And if you're speaking, while you are eating, you are not be mindful of the gift itself. But if you don't speak, and if you are concentrate on eating, if you are mindful of eating, you will notice that the food in front of you is a gift from the universe. By way of many people and many blessings, it is now here. So silent eating, you can be mindful of your energy you are taking because it's a gift from the universe. So it is very meaningful to do the silent eating. So that is another tradition that actually Buddhists has done for many years. And then, Gassho, Anjali Mudra is actually, when pandemic started, people soon realized that, Asian countries, they don't shake hands. And they pray that, that's a very good practice in order to keep distance and no touching. And that is also great message from the past that we can continue to do it. And of course, bowing or gassho is, I think, one of the very good Buddhist practices. for the coronavirus pandemic. And then, let's see. And as a conclusion, I'd like to mention that even smallpox epidemic happened in the 8th century. Buddhism were able to spread all over Japan because Buddhism actually people wish people safety, you know, and in order to pray for the safety of people, the Emperor Shomu built the Virushana Butsu, Bairoka, great Buddha statue at Todaiji Temple. And also, he actually built many temples. And this, you know, building of many temples in Japan in the 8th century were caused by smallpox epidemic. So I don't know if it's the right way to say, but thanks to the smallpox, the Buddhism were able to spread. So although coronavirus is such a disaster for all of us, and it's a sad thing, however, there is always a positive, good understanding that because of coronavirus, there was, you know, something that we were able to do. And one of the good examples is this Zoom service. Because of the coronavirus pandemic, we were able to use this advanced technology to connect each other anytime, anywhere in the world. So that is also great gift from the coronavirus. So while we should, you know, pay attention for the safety, but we should appreciate whatever we are having right now. So once again, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to talk about important message from the past. Arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bishop Ishikawa. And, very fitting for our times and for the remembering the teaching of the Buddha. Well, we have three designated responders, and our first is Thomas Chung. Thomas practices in the Vajrayana stream of Tibetan Buddhism at the Katog Mati Ling Sangha based in Oahu. He's a student of Khentrul Lodro Te, you say, Rinpoche. Thomas joins us this afternoon from Anchorage, Alaska, where he is a professor of art and painting at the University of Alaska. Thomas, thank you so much for being here. We are eager to hear your remarks.
Thanks, Michael, and thank you very much, Reverend Ishikawa. Was someone trying to speak? No? Okay. So I wanted to comment on the earlier part of your talk, because you had mentioned climate change and Hiroshima, and you know, when you mentioned climate change, you were saying that maybe Buddhism isn't totally relevant to climate change, but I actually think that Buddhism is incredibly relevant to climate change, that the message of interconnectedness that we get from the text, I think, is really key, that I think in order for us to save our planet, we'll actually need our ancestral wisdom, including Buddhism, to change from this more consumerist mindset now that's sort of like every man for himself and just destroy and take whatever you want, because I think that's the current paradigm, especially with a dominant worldview being scientific, that, you know, everything's kind of inconsequential. that I found to be a really destructive worldview. So I think that Buddhism, which says to nurture everything, and with the Vajrayana, we're trying to do everything we possibly can to help all beings. Of course, that includes climate change. A big part of Vajrayana is bringing everything on the path, everything. You're, trying to quit smoking, climate change, racism. There's nothing that's exempt. And so I actually think that could be really important. And also to help cultivate compassion in general. One of the things being on the Buddhist path, I'm fairly new. I think I became a serious practitioner about 3 years ago. And one of the things in Vajrayana is the aims is to cultivate compassion. And I find that it arises spontaneously, almost so much to the point that it becomes a nuisance. I'm becoming a reluctant vegetarian because every time I look at meat now, all I can think about is the suffering. And so it's sort of outpacing my ego and my conscious desire, but I think that Buddhism can be wonderful and essential actually to helping the world. So I wanted to talk briefly about Hiroshima, because when you mentioned the falling snake and evil ground name, I thought actually you were mentioning the atomic bomb. And I went to Japan 2 years ago, mainly to visit Hiroshima because I wanted to know how the people of that city got over having an atomic bomb dropped on them. And so I wanted to receive that important message from the past, but also for the future moving on. How do you get over something like that? How do you not live your life like a victim or in terror and fear? And what was incredible when I went was that that city is on a mission of peace. They know better than anybody on earth the importance of peace. And it was because of the tragedy that the citizens faced that they're so passionate about it. And there was something really beautiful about that message that I learned there. Dongsar Kensei Rinpoche, who's within a similar tradition of mine, he says that actually suffering in your life is a consequence of good karma from your past. And when I first heard that, I was shocked and appalled because I was a suicidal teenager. I was miserable and I was like, how is it a blessing? And our suffering apparently is a blessing because it's the only way we wake up. If you do not suffer, you will never question this world. You will never question your surroundings. If you don't wake up, if you don't suffer, you will never have compassion for another person. If you've ever met somebody that's never experienced racism, they literally do not think it exists because in their world it doesn't. So how could they possibly feel compassion? Because I'm such a late in life Buddhist, I've done a lot of really bad things before I took this path seriously. And I'm actually really grateful that I made all those mistakes, that I hurt people, because I think I know really and honestly why I never want to do that again. And I think until you do those things, it's just faith and, what's it worth? What I love about the Vajrayana is the constant questioning, the rationality. Nothing goes past without being sort of analyzed and assessed. And one of the assessments that we put is the view of, of emptiness of everything. And so I guess that's just some things that I wanted to share that your talk made me think of. So thank you very much for your talk.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Thomas. That was very poignant. All right, our next respondent is Ms. Sunny Bolan, who practices in the Theravada stream of Buddhism. Ms. Bolan lives in the suburbs of Maryland with her husband and works with him in accounting and bookkeeping, which is their family business. She recently found a meditation teacher in Ajahn Prasert Utaichaler'n. I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but he is a Theravada teacher who she encountered online. Ms. Bolan has followed and applied these clear Buddhist teachings in her daily life and finds that they are helping her to understand the causes and effects of her own actions. Ms. Bolan is not able to join us on Zoom this afternoon, so her response based on her own practice experience will be read by Purani. Purani, could you share that with us, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. So this is what I'm to read from what she has written, and I think it's really go very well with Bishop Ishikawa. So this is not Purani, this is Sunny Bolan. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm originally from Bangkok, Thailand, raised by strict Catholic parents. When I was 19 years old, my family moved to Texas. After we moved, I drifted away from Catholic Church. Several years later, I got married and had a son, then became a single mom. My dad moved back to Thailand. My mom moved in with us. It was so hard to work full-time and raise my son. Also, my mom has chronic disease without health insurance. In the past, my sister sent medication from Bangkok. From time to time, my friend invited me to go to the Thai temple. This gave me the opportunity to hear what the monks had to say. When my son became a teenager, I met my current husband. He helped me raise my son and took best care of everyone in my family. It released major part of my heavy load. On the same day, I received diagnosis of breast cancer. My son received a letter of acceptance to Baylor University with scholarship. After my son got his Doctor of Medicine degree, my husband has a heart attack in the middle of the night. This was very surprising, as he was always physically active and had annual physical exam regularly. This was a month before my son's wedding. All these happenings were a wake-up call that life has no guarantees except for death. No one knows how and when. At this point, I started to listen to various monks on YouTube until I found a teacher that I continued to listen and learn from. Yeah, his name is Ajahn Praset Uthai Chalerm. His teachings start with basic concepts which can be adapted by anyone's lifestyle. It starts with physical behavior. Don't harm or abuse other person physically. Verbal behavior. Don't harm or abuse other person with wordings. Thinking behavior, the most critical and the hardest. Practice how to think about your own actions and not to blame or condemn someone else. Praying can be used to calm your mind and inducing meditation. Meditation doesn't mean you stop thinking, but helps to focus your thinking. It could lead to wisdom or much clearer thinking. The present is partly the result. The present is partly the result of the past and partly a condition of the future. You need to live in the present, not in the past, and be aware of the future. The base of my learning and practice is the understanding to accept the reality that happens from nature of things. I have come to realize that nothing is permanent. Happiness can fade away and disappear, and so does the suffering. Buddhism offers a way to live a life peacefully with less suffering. My hope is that everyone can find their own way to a peaceful life. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Bolan. And thank you, Purani, for being her voice here today. She felt very much with us in this, and certainly her words, again, are so poignant. I want to introduce our last respondent. We have Reverend Hirosato Yoshida. Reverend Yoshida is a Soto Zen Buddhist minister at the Soto Mission of Hawaii. Reverend Hiro, as I've come to know him, is one of the board members of HAIB and is our chair of youth and intergenerational programs. He's one of the younger members of our organization and our board, and he always brings a fresh and clear perspective along with great energy to whatever we're working on. I look forward very much to hearing your comments, Hiro. Please.
Thank you very much, Michael. First of all, I'd like to say thank you very much to Bishop Ishikawa. There's so many things in your presentation that I learned that I would love to share with my congregation from the things that you had expressed, especially on tradition. And especially, I think like bone dance is something very, very unique to Hawaii's culture. And there are a lot of people in Hawaii that can relate to the stories that you have shared. And speaking of that, I felt that speaking in terms of my perspective, coming from a Soto Zen tradition, I think what it comes down to is, as you said, what is tradition? And as you have shared your different types of traditional changes that have happened, and especially within this COVID-19 situation, I think the use of technology was probably going into this step, but I think it rapidly changed the situation where probably like 5 years of time that we were probably planning to spend to get used to, for instance, Zoom or other technological advancements, we were kind of forced to start using it immediately. And all of this have shifted the way we have to approach the Dharma, and also to teach, and also as well as how we associate with one another. And I think you pointed out a very important point about what exactly is tradition and the change that goes through. And I think, like I also agree that the context of the Buddha, what was it, especially in today's talk about Dhammacakka, is his first festival of his first sermon at, I believe, Sarnath. And in 2018, I actually had an opportunity to backpack alone through India. And I actually went to Sarnath to see the ruins and also experience the actual place where Siddhartha or Shakyamuni Buddha had made his first. Sorry, I'm alone at the temple, so I have the door open, so I had to go and open up, and they're just leaving right now. So anyways, and I think the context of the Buddha is why is there so much suffering in this world? And I think that's where Buddhism initially began its roots. And he comes up with the teachings of the Four Noble Truths, and which is life is suffering, and suffering is caused by craving and aversion. And there's a path to liberation, and the path is the Eightfold Path. And he goes on to explain about Eightfold Path and Middle Way in his first sermon at Sarnath during this first sermon that he shared with his first of his 5 disciples. And all of that, I think, boils down to, in our tradition of Soto Zen, is that it's all about improving oneself and going through your own stages of life and how you adapt to the situation and how you bring that yourself into that interconnectedness of this world, and how you become not a part but a whole of this whole universe. And I think that's the whole main aspect of the teachings of this first sermon as well, in my opinion. And one thing that the bishop mentioned about silent eating, in Soto Zen we have a word called Sammoku Dojo, 3 areas that we keep silent, and there are Zendo, or the meditation hall, Ofuro, or Yokuso, or the bath, where you take a bath, and restroom, or Tosu. And these 3 areas are designated for each individual of us to reflect back on our own self. And that's why there is no necessity of talking to another person, or because ultimately you're bringing back the things you've learned, the things that you want to accomplish back into yourself and finding the answer within oneself. And going back to the whole context of the Buddha's first initial sermon is about reflecting back on what is life is suffering. And all of that teaching boils down to self-improvement, how Eightfold Path is a way for you to alleviate from the suffering because you're following a certain way in your own life. And I think that now in a greater perspective of our Mahayana Buddhism, I'm going to just use that term today, not because it's a great vehicle, but as a traditional way of saying it, but is that we feel that by each of us being able to interconnect with one another, we can then spread the teachings to more people, and that more people can be saved from this world of suffering. And I think this is, of course, going back, I guess, one more time, is that no matter how COVID or any other situation do change this world, and how culture and tradition and all of that may change, I think the backbone of Buddhism, the roots to the teachings, will never change. And that's where I think the expression of how you present that will change through generation, through time. But we have to keep in mind about what is the true meaning of the teachings. So thank you very much for this opportunity for me to share my thoughts from the teachings that Bishop have made earlier. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hiro. Wonderful. Let's take a couple of minutes here. If someone would like to ask a question of any of our responders, at least of the two that are present, and or Bishop Ishikawa, raise your hand and I'll call on you. If I can see you, raise your hand. You'll have to become visible. All of you are just names on the screen. And Purani, can you help me out there? I see Donna with a hand up. Yes, Donna, what would you like to ask?
Thank you. I sent a chat to Thomas, but maybe he didn't get a chance to read it. Okay, but I was intrigued by the artwork behind you. So you make some comments about it?
Yeah, sure. Well, this is a Wheel of Life from Nepal, but I'm working on a painting that's a depiction of greed, hatred, and delusion. Oops. And this is greed. And then next to it, it's going to be hatred. And I'm not sure. I think hatred might be me holding my dog back and it's trying to bite a cat and the cat's trying to bite a rat. But it's all taking place in a lotus pond. So I haven't painted them in yet, but the photos I took in my parents' pool. And so it's, I use my paintings to work out all the Buddhist teachings, the things that I have difficulty wrapping my head around. I use the paintings to work through them because I spend hundreds of hours. So that's what that is. And then, yeah.
What about this sculpture on the side? No, to your right or to your left.
This, well, this is just fabric with snowflakes. That's a mirror. And this is the Wheel of Life.
What about the other side?
There's nothing on the other side. You mean this? That's the greed. Yeah, this is the greed, hatred, delusion painting. So they're next to it. I haven't painted the other ones yet. That's what that guy is.
Okay.
We'll have you back when you finish those, Thomas.
Yeah.
And maybe in between as well.
But one just quick note about tradition and art. I was reading a book on Buddhist art, and they were saying that every time Buddhism moves to another country, it transforms and kind of merges and synthesizes with the local culture. And we have the example of Avalokiteshvara changing gender down as you reach Japan and China. And so I'm excited to be participating in a new crop of Buddhist art, that's American Buddhist art, that's only really possible in this new globalized age. So I think it's an exciting new time for Buddhism where, I think that what's important has remained over the last, millennia. And so it's exciting to see it evolve and become digitized and all this other wacky stuff.
Thank you again. Thank you for your contribution to the Dharma. All right, I think we're going to move on with our schedule here and enjoy a guided meditation with Thanh. I think many of you know Thanh Huynh. He and his wife Swan have been pillars of the Vipassana Hawaii Sangha on Oahu for many years. Thanh is a retired physician and a past president of HAIB. Thank you very much, Thanh, for leading us this afternoon. Let's take maybe 15 or 20 minutes to have you guide us in meditation. Thank you. Thanh, are you ready? Are you there? We can't hear you. You're still muted. I see your hand. We need to get you unmuted.
Okay, I just unmuted myself. I tried to find a button to unmute. I just did. So I think there's many types of meditations that we practice. And I think for this day and age, one of the practice that might be helpful to most of us is loving kindness meditation. With all the things that's going on with COVID-19 things, so a lot of suffering is going on. So loving kindness and compassion would be a good practice to hope to bring healing and good energy in the world to counteract the negativity of the COVID-19 problem. So the Buddha taught the loving kindness practice in one of the discourse called the Metta Sutra. In that sutta, he repeatedly say the phrase Sukhi no wa kemi no hontu sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitata, which means may all beings be well, safe, and happy. So many people practice meditation of loving kindness using the 4 traditional phrases, but it's all derived from that phrase in the sutta. So the 4 traditional phrases, first is usually starting with oneself, because the Buddha say, he looks around the world and he can find no one dearer to oneself is ourself. So the practice should start with oneself so that we can generate that loving kindness for ourselves before we can share it with others. So if we don't have something we cannot share with others, so we have to generate loving kindness first by pervaded ourselves with loving kindness. So we usually begin by reflecting on our good qualities. We all have something good about ourselves, either a good quality or something good that we may have done in the past. So if we can reflect on those goodness, that will give us a reason to love ourselves and to pervade ourselves with loving kindness. So first, just maybe close your eyes and reflect on some good quality that you have, or something good that you've done for yourself or for others. So just reflect on that for a few moments and feel that you deserve to be loved and to be happy. So with that, we can repeat the phrase, may I be well, safe, and happy. Feel that our body is being pervaded with this energy of metta or loving kindness. Feel every single cell in our body is being strengthened, nourished, and loved, being pervaded with this energy of metta, loving kindness. May I be well, safe, and happy. Then just think of a dear one, someone that is very easy for us to feel loving kindness for. Perhaps a teacher or elder, a parents or grandparents, someone who have done a lot of good for us. Picture that person in front of us, smiling in a happy state, and pervade that person with the energy of metta, loving kindness. So direct all the loving kindness toward this person. May you be well, safe, and happy. May you be well, safe, and happy. Then include in this group, add to this benefactor any dear person, dear friend, or dear family members to it, and pervade everyone in this group with loving kindness. May you be well, safe, and happy. Or may we be well, safe, and happy, including ourselves. And may we be well, safe, and happy. Then maybe add some more people that you like, some co-workers or friends, or maybe someone that we just barely know, a neutral person, like a mailman that comes deliver mail every day, or the cashier at the grocery store that we see when we go shopping there. We don't know them well, but we can always send loving kindness to them. So include these people into the group that we are sending loving kindness to. May we be well, safe, and happy. Feel that energy of metta pervading every single cell of our bodies and of the people that we included. The dear friend, the teacher, the parents, the grandparents, family members. Now we can add some neighbors and maybe co-workers, Sangha members to this group. May we be well, safe, and happy. We can breathe in and out with each phrase. With each breath, it's just like refreshing this energy of metta or unconditional love. With each breath, we are fanning on this ember of love in our heart, making it stronger and brighter. And let it pervade our entire being, every single cell in our body. And then extending out to all those people. May we be well, safe, and happy. Now include the whole neighborhood. People who live in our neighborhood in this group to receive loving kindness. maybe everyone in this city that we are dwelling in, the whole state, the whole country, and then the entire world. Pervade Mother Earth in this power of metta. All beings on land, in the water or in the air, big or small, visible or invisible on Mother Earth. May we be well, safe and happy. Now extend this power of metta radiating in the 10 directions, east, west, north, south, the 4 directions in between, then direction above and below. So that's the 10 traditional directions, sending this power of metta in all these 10 traditional directions, reaching all imaginable beings everywhere in all realms of existence. May all beings be well, safe and happy. May all beings be well, safe and happy. May all beings be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May your happiness and success never end. All beings are owner of their karma, relate to their karma. All beings live dependent on their karma. Whatever we do, skillful or unskillful, to that we shall fare. For we are owners of our karma. Whatever we do, skillful or unskillful, to that we shall fare. So ownership of karma would decide everything that's beyond our control. So now you can open your eyes and continue to take a few conscious breaths. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Thanh. Wonderful. We had some help from many beings there. Delightful. All right. Well, we're nearing the end of our Dhammacakka celebration and program. I want to end with the Metta Sutra, following up on the loving kindness meditation that Thanh has just led us in. And our board member and friend Reen Mancho is going to recite the Metta Sutra for us. Please keep your mics off. It doesn't work well in Zoom for us to try to recite it together.
Nope, we practice this.
No, we're going to do it this way. So please hang in there with it. We will keep our mics off, and we will chant silently if we need to, or we'll just listen and let those words really soak in to our body, mind. Thank you, Reen.
Can you make it bigger? Sorry. Reverend, can you make it bigger so people can read it bigger? Okay. Okay, thank you, and Mr. President, and I'm really enjoying this wonderful this is my first Dhammacakka session, and I got lots of messages of peace and traditions and messages from the past, and thank you everyone for sharing. And we close today with the Metta Sutra, and we want everybody to be chanting together, and I will be starting. May all beings be happy. May they be joyous and live in safety. All living beings, whether weak or strong, in high or middle or low realms of existence, small or great, visible or invisible, near or far, born or to be born, may all beings be happy. Let none deceive another, nor despite any being in any state. Let none by anger or hatred wish harm to another. Even as a mother at the risk of her life watches over and protects her only child, so with a boundless mind should one cherish all living things, suffusing love over the entire world, above, below, and all around, without limit. So let each cultivate an infinite goodwill toward the whole world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, especially Bishop Ishikawa and our chanters, Lama Rinchen and the Venerable Dhammamuni and Sunny Bolan, who was not present with us, but who will hear about this, I'm sure. We've heard of her. And thank you to our three responders, Chung and Sunny Bolan. I'm sorry, I missed on the chanting, I missed the Reverend Yamamura, and Sunny Bolan was one of our responders, along with Reverend Hiro. So thank all of you very much. A wonderful event. If you would like to keep these sorts of events happening, you can become a member of HAIB. You can now join on our website, which we have Hiro to thank for its functionality, its revived functionality. So please have a look at hawaiibuddhists.org, all one word, hawaiibuddhists.org. And you can join HAIB there. You can stay informed about future events. We have a Peace Day event coming up, and who knows what else. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.